Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Agha Raza and I'm an assistant professor of computer science at LUMS. Today, I'll take you along my journey towards creation of our first voice-based social media platform for low literate and non-tech savvy audiences. So it all began back in 2011 when I started my PhD at Carnegie Mellon. Around that time, me, my advisor, Ronnie Rosenfeld, and our collaborator in Pakistan, Dr. Umar Saif, we were considering several problems which I was to take up as my PhD research. The one in which I was interested was the disproportionate access to information and connectivity across the globe. Even 12 years fast forward, even today, if you look at the statistics, there are 2.9 billion people across the world that are offline. Let that sink in. So this means that close to a third of the world population does not have access to the internet. What that means and what that translates to is that whatever technologies you design, whatever efforts you put in, they are just impacting the people who are online, at least if you're using the internet or the social media to roll out your information campaigns, your social media campaigns. So if we look at social media penetration right now, it stands at around 59.4% globally, and this is an inflated number. It includes people who have multiple accounts, so it counts them multiple times. So back then when we were thinking about this problem, we figured out that this disproportionate access to technology results in several digital divides. So there is the gender divide, more men than women access the internet. There is the urban-rural divide, more urban people than rural have access to internet and its resources. There is the literacy divide, where people who are low literate and non-tech savvy are not comfortable with textual interfaces, are not comfortable with the mostly text-driven internet. And what that translates to is lack of access to information and lack of access to opportunities. So my question at that point was, how can we reach these unconnected and underconnected populations? At that point, we used to think that these digital divides eventually are going to resolve themselves. Eventually, everyone is going to have a smartphone. Eventually, everyone is going to have internet. But that's not how it works. By the time an old digital divide gets resolved, even a bigger chasm gets created because of the advancements in technology. So what the divide that was for simple internet access, now it's for maybe for machine learning, for democratization of AI, and so on and so forth. So it has to be solved at some point. So we figured out that if we provide people the benefits of the internet and social media over simple phones, like your simple button phones, using speech, then maybe we can provide them social media where they are right now without any need to advance them any further. So that's exactly what we did. So before I take you along with my journey, with my segue into this Baang, our voice-based social media platform, let me give you a bit of a history. So we started out by giving people access to information. We created a service which was fun, entertaining. It was an IVR service, and IVR services is something that you do when you, for example, when you call Uphone or any other telco, you end up dealing with an interface which says press 1 to do this, 2 to do that. That's an IVR interface. So my first service was called Polly. The idea there was that it was a simple entertainment service. You call a number, it allows you to record your voice, it modifies your voice in a funny way and allows you to forward it to your friends. So it becomes viral. It allows people to self-train themselves in the use of such services. On top of Polly, we added useful information services. So once people get connected, we give them information about job opportunities, about health information, about maternal health information, about disease, and so on and so forth. The problem with Polly was that the novelty of fun voice modifications wears off really quickly. So for example, remember the last time you played Talking Tom? So you played with it maybe for several hours in the beginning, but then you got tired. It's boring then. That's exactly what happens with anything which has a finite amount of entertainment. So that resulted in very low user retention. We had a very small window in which we could give people useful information. The window for Poly was around 1 to 2 days. So that got us into thinking, how can we add fresh content to a voice-based service so that people keep coming back? How do you make it sticky? How do you make it engaging? And that was our segue into social media platforms. What if people are responsible for generating the fresh content? So we created Baang. So Baang is an IVR-based social media platform. It became very popular in Pakistan amongst the target audiences, which are low literate, non-tech-savvy people. It allows you to record an audio message. It also allows you to share this message with others. Anyone calling into the system can listen to those messages. They can vote on them. They can like them, dislike them, report abuse, they can forward the messages to others. They can post audio comments, and so on and so forth.
بانگ کو کال کرنے کا شکریہ. ہم آپ کو جلد ہی واپس کال کریں گے.
ہلو،
السلام علیکم. بانگ کی سروس میں خوش آمدید. بانگ میں آپ کوئی بھی بات ریکارڈ کر سکتے ہیں اور اسے ملک بھر کے لوگوں تک پہنچا سکتے ہیں. اپنی بانگ ریکارڈ کرنے کے لیے 1 دبائیں. دوسروں کی بانگیں سننے کے لیے 2 دبائیں. اپنی ریکارڈ کی ہوئی بانگوں کے بارے میں معلومات حاصل کرنے کے لیے 3 دبائیں. بانگ سننے کے بعد پسند اور ناپسند کا ووٹ دینا نہ بھولیں. زیادہ پسند کی جانے والی بانگیں پہلے سنائی جاتی ہیں. آج کی سب سے زیادہ پسند کی جانے والی بانگیں سننے کے لیے 1 دبائیں. تازہ ترین بانگیں سننے کے لیے 2 دبائیں. زیادہ پسند کی جانے والی بانگیں سننے کے لیے 3 دبائیں. کسی مخصوص کوڈ نمبر کی بانگ سننے کے لیے 4 دبائیں. پچھلے مینیو میں واپس جانے کے لیے 5 دبائیں. کسی بھی وقت مینیو میں جانے کے لیے کوئی بھی بٹن دبائیں. 755 ووٹس کے ساتھ پہلی بانگ.
السلام علیکم، میرا نام محمود الحسن ہے. میں EUWT اسلام آباد میں جو نابیناؤں کا ادارہ ہے اس میں جاب کرتا ہوں ایز اے ٹیچر. میری تمام بلائنڈ بچوں سے یہ خواہش ہے کہ پلیز اس ادارے میں ایڈمیشن کر لیں، کیونکہ میں نے زندگی میں ایک ایسا ادارہ دیکھا ہے جو کہ بلائنڈ بچوں کی زندگی کے سنورنے کے لیے بہت اچھا ہے. یہاں پر بچوں کو کمپیوٹر، بریل اور
دوبارہ سننے کے لیے 1 دبائیں. پسند کا ووٹ دینے کے لیے 2 دبائیں. ناپسند کا ووٹ دینے کے لیے 3 دبائیں. اس بانگ کو رپورٹ کرنے کے لیے 4 دبائیں. اس بانگ کے بارے میں لوگوں کی رائے سننے کے لیے 5 دبائیں. اگلی بانگ سننے کے لیے 6 دبائیں. پچھلی بانگ سننے کے لیے 7 دبائیں. یہ بانگ دوستوں کو بھیجنے کے لیے 8 دبائیں. پچھلے مینیو میں واپس جانے کے لیے 9 دبائیں.
یار یہ تو سہیل کے کام کی بانگ ہے.
جن کو بھیجنا چاہتے ہیں ان کا نمبر ملائیں اور آخر میں ہیش کا بٹن دبائیں. بیپ کے بعد اپنا نام بولیں کیونکہ اس بانگ کے ساتھ آپ کا نام بھی بھیجا جائے گا.
مختار.
شکریہ. یہ بانگ آپ کے دوست کو جلد ہی بھیج دی جائے گی.
Baang provides an actual social media interface. We did get into this, but we did not realize that we are getting into the middle of a storm of opportunities and challenges when we were creating it. So let's talk a little bit about that. We launched Baang in Lahore in Pakistan. We started getting calls from all over Pakistan. So within 8 months, we had received 270,000 phone calls by around 10,700 users. They created around 44,000 posts, which were played 2.8 million times by the users within the 8 months. So it became extremely viral. We ended up collecting 1,000 hours of audio data in 10 languages of Pakistan. And this 10, by the way, is not the actual number of languages. It was the number of languages that my team knew. So they were putting everything else in the other category. These posts were shared 94,000 times by the users with their friends. So this social media platform, this alternate social media platform, Baang, once we figured out that it can become viral, we became interested in other things. For example, any social media platform has the capability of amplifying not just good information but also misinformation and disinformation. So how do you prevent such things from propagating on your platform? The three features which I have highlighted here, we use them to create what we call community-supported expert moderation. What that is that people flag content which is inappropriate, which is based on misinformation or unreliable, and our moderators get to that content earlier and remove content which is identified as indeed being inappropriate for the platform. This is actually a whole direction of research of moderation, not even solved for mainstream social media platforms. Another aspect that we found, and we have this paper, I have the link down there. So we figured out that posting a comment is a higher predictor of a user returning to the system compared to posting an actual Baang, an actual audio message. So people are more interested in going back to figure out what happened with their comment than they are to figure out what happened with their actual post. The sharing feature that you saw where a user enters the phone number of their friend allows us to virally spread amongst a particular socioeconomic strata. And then finally, another big challenge in any social media platform is the creation of marginalities. So what happens is that on your social media, there are certain subgroups which are in majority and certain subgroups which are in minority. And because the playlist that you get is based on popularity votes, the voice of minorities always gets drowned. So as a result, we created a mechanism of accessing Baangs by recency, which allowed anyone's voice to be heard on the platform as long as they post it. So I'm just giving you a touch of the various things that you need to be careful about when you're creating such a platform. So who were our users? They were mostly low-educated young men. We had only around 7% women on the platform. There were 68% people on the platform who had less than 10 years of education. And interestingly, 69% of people that we contacted in our surveys were blind. We had never explicitly advertised our services to the blind community. They discovered the platform and figured out that it's the platform for them. They do not have many other options of accessing social media, and they ended up being some of our most responsible users of the platform. During the pandemic, so fast forward 10 years, during the pandemic in 2020, there was a big challenge getting the right information, reliable information across to these audiences, especially to people who are low literate, non-tech savvy, who are more prone to believing misinformation, rumors, hearsay, and all of that, conspiracy theories. So we utilized Baang again, and we added on top of it reliable information from the NIH, from other organizations about COVID, and this information saw significant engagement of the users, where we found that users who were nudged to listen to COVID-related messages ended up listening to more of these messages. People used Baang to fulfill their various needs during the time of the pandemic. And these included informational needs, emotional needs. When someone is sick or someone lost a family member, they were actually asking for sympathy on the platform. And on the platform, we saw the creation of support circles where people were coming in and helping them out with prayers and with nice words and with all of that. And finally, we launched incentives on the platform to forward these COVID-related messages to others, and we saw almost a tripling effect of the sharing of these messages amongst the users. We are not done with the challenges yet. One of the biggest challenges of these social media platforms for the low literate audiences is the low participation of women. We have done a systematic study across two countries, Pakistan and India, of these platforms, and we have found that women on these platforms face unwelcoming behavior in the form of flirtation, in the form of threats and abuses, which turns them away from the platform. This is an open research question. How do we make these platforms more welcoming towards women? As Kentaro Tayoma, who's a professor of information at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, he defines technology as an amplifier of intent. It can amplify good intent and good information. It can also amplify bad intent and bad information. So the real question is, for each of us, what is our intent? Thank you so much.